What's up, my people? It's your favorite light in Boogie in this thing. Welcome to another amazing episode of the Can Be Broken podcast, where we are shining light on the darkness that is domestic violence and abuse. If you've never been here before, welcome to the show, season 2. I'm so excited about that because it has been a phenomenal journey and a phenomenal ride, and the wheels gonna keep on going. We have 3 simple goals on Can't Be Broken podcast: to educate, empower, and encourage. We're here to educate anyone who has never been in abusive ships, don't understand abusive ships, why people stay, why people go back. We might find out today. We are here to empower all of our survivors to stand up and share your story without shame, fear, guilt, or judgment, because you are strong, you are powerful, and your voice deserves to be heard. And to anyone who is currently suffering in silence, listen. You are not alone. You are not crazy. Abuse is not normal. Your feelings are valid. And despite how it may look and feel in this very moment, there is always a way out, and we encourage you to safely seek support. Y'all know what we got to do. We got to hop up in this thing so we can rise above these insecurities, release the burdens of shame and guilt, and revive our God-given power, purpose, and passion the confidence way. Because we about to light it up. Y'all, welcome to another amazing episode. And we have, as always, another amazing guest. This guest is super special, though, because you don't always get to have a conversation or see someone who is so far on their healing journey that it might be annoying. And I'm going to say this because it's going to annoy somebody, because it has in the past. And if that's you, it's not our problem. Anyways, this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful being that is a guest on our show today is an illuminating light filled with so much joy, so much peace, so much freedom, so much color. But the world knows her as Miss Natalie. Natalie in the building.
Well, thanks, Em.
Natalie, I'm gonna get a soundboard one day. So I'm gonna.
Someday.
But
We all
until then,
eventually.
they're just gonna have to hear my voice.
I'm gonna get better lighting someday.
But you are the light, Natalie.
Mhm.
You're the light.
A little rough, but we'll work on that.
It's all good. How are you doing today?
I'm good, good. How are you?
It's a great day to be alive.
Mm,
That is my motto that I adopted in 2023.
okay.
Shortly after I left the abusive ship that I was in, I was like, regardless of how hard it is, how dark it seems, how struggling of a life you may have in the moment, at the end of the day, anybody can ask me how I'm doing, and I can say it's a great day to be alive, and it's not a lie, as opposed to me saying I'm fine when I'm really not. So I always say it's a great day to be alive. And it changes the energy. People are like, oh, you know what? It is a great day. I'm like, I know. You didn't think about that, but I know.
Mhm.
Natalie, I'm excited. I just want to first of all say thank you for taking the time out to join me on my mission to bring more awareness to abuse, abusive ships, the side effects, the consequences, the aftermath, the post separation abuse, like all of the things. Thank you for being honest. Thank you for being transparent. Thank you for being like, hey, sign me up, because we are no longer going to be quiet about this foolishness that is taking place. So
Yeah.
just, it's a
I'm
privilege.
pretty passionate about like speaking out. I think it's very important for, people that are experiencing it, like as we speak, they know like there's people out there because it's such a small world. A lot of times, you feel like you have nowhere to go, that nobody's experiencing what you're experiencing because you're so isolated. And I see it more and more now, and I love it. Like people are coming forward, they're talking about it, or they're doing something about it with their experiences, whether it be just flat out healing and talking about it. There's some of those, I like to call them the watchers, and they kind of, they'll talk about it. They're not so flamboyant, they're not on podcasts or anything. But then you've got other people that are really like coming forward and like, no, like this is where it starts. And I think all the way around, it's a beautiful thing because society is changing, platforms are changing, and we're not 1952, So having that network is so important because you can inspire somebody to get out of their situation or they can relate to it and know like there is better things. Like you're not stuck. You can move forward and, you're not the only one.
All of what you just said, because we have the ability to have these platforms where you don't have to go to the news, you don't have to go to the newspaper, you don't have to try to fight to get on someone else's station. We can create our own stations. And I think it is very important that as people who have been through it, once you've come out and you've gotten to a place where you can heal and communicate, it's important that we stand up and communicate. Like, we have to talk about this, because when you're in it, you literally feel like no one else has experienced it.
Mhm.
Even though Rihanna and Reese Witherspoon, like there's so many celebrities
The
that have shared their
mindset
story.
from that, like that you take and like how you, I don't even know if it's the brain protecting you, but whatever it's doing is so wild to me because it's out there.
Hmm.
But you're still like in this tunnel, you know?
Hmm. You're
Yeah.
rewired,
Hmm.
and what happens is, it's out. At the end of the day, it's still like, okay, I know it's out there, but it feels so far away from you
Yes.
that if you try to come out of it, for me, the shame, like, why would I tell? How can I tell my family and my friends that I stayed after the first time? The guilt, the
I get asked that
embarrassment.
a lot. A lot of people will ask me, why did you stay? And it took me a long time to like unravel that
Hmm.
initially because like you're like, oh, well, I did leave a few times or whatever. And initially, like when it's good. But boy, when it's bad, it can be deadly. So if you don't have that experience, because I've also had to like remind myself and sometimes tone it down, it can be triggering for others who have literally like never experienced, like a door slamming in their entire life. So for them to fathom something so like they're like, wait, 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 so yeah, I've had to tone it down and readjust. And I've always told people like you don't know until you know.
Yes. And what people don't realize, when a lot of times, not always, because different people experience the abuse at different ages and in different scenarios and in different environments. But a lot of times, when it's experienced later in life by an intimate partner, not a family member, it's more so a grooming of mind manipulation is what happens. The physical usually doesn't show. If it's a physically abusive situation, it usually doesn't present itself
No, not
for,
initially.
months or whatever, but they've conditioned your mind to make you think there's no way that one instance is
That's
this
so
person.
true. And I don't think in the adult world we understand, like, not that we don't understand that, but understand that enough that even as adults, because again, I've been asked, like, why did you stay? And it's like, well, I didn't necessarily like, and I've also had to correct people, and I've gotten a little upset with this one, when they've said, like, you should have just left. And I'm like, well, when I met him, this is not the behaviors that were like ever. Or, I've made comments such as like, should I have everybody's psyche valved? I mean, that's what you're asking me to do because nothing initially said like this was going to happen. This was the behavior that this person was going to have right off the bat. It was more so like you fall in love, whatever, and then there's that one moment, and then that from that moment on, it spirals. It's
Hmm.
never like it's just a one-time instance. I guess I shouldn't say that because there can be scenarios where it's like a one time, depending on the level, magnitude.
Yeah.
But for the most part, most that are abusive, it doesn't stop. It never stops.
Right. And to piggyback off what you're saying, I think that the people or individuals who do that the one time, I wouldn't call them abusive people. Why they did it and why they thought in the moment or let their emotions think in the moment that that was okay, to
Yeah.
because you think through it before it happens. There's no I reflexed and put my hand on your neck. It's not that.
No.
But the people who are abusers, who are narcissists, who are like out there to find people that they can suck the life out of, it's not going to happen the one time. It's and even if they are the person that's the one up. Like, I'm like, don't give anybody another opportunity. This is who they're showing you that they can be.
It's wild to me too, just from my own personal experiences. If you've been in like an intimate relationship with that person and you tell somebody like the next person that they're trying to, pursue, and I'm like, hi, um, just a heads up. This is the patterns, this is what's going to happen. And they label you as the
Hmm.
crazy one, but then they go through it.
Yeah.
And then they're like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, I tried to like be a girl's girl,
Yeah.
and let you
Yeah.
know up front, like whatever. So it's just really interesting. Like, and they can be so charismatic right off the bat.
Hmm.
They put on a
Hmm.
very good show for everybody. I mean, you're talking, police officers, school districts, anybody that's I don't want to like it's not public really, but normal
Hmm.
churches, gas station attendants. I mean, anybody that is not intimately in that little network has no idea what that person is capable of.
Correct.
And like they'll look at you like you have three heads and purple polka dots on when you are like, no, like this
Hmm.
happened.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So is all of this conversation coming from the one abuser?
Yes. Yes.
So let's get into that, because this is really good, and there's so many layers that I want to jump on. But
Go for it.
because it's getting there, I'm like, well, we got to start from the beginning because the
Yeah.
importance is the beginning.
Right.
So many times I ask a lot of the guests, and I'm like, well, tell me, like, take me back to the moment you met. What were you attracted to? Because at, let's go. Let's dive in. What
Exactly.
was that moment, and how did it come about before the mask came off?
Yeah. It's a fun story.
I'm ready for it. I
All
love fun
right.
stories.
So we went to high school together. Um, Neither of us were very like, your typical student. We like to sneak off and party and, we were in those type of groups. So there was definitely physical attraction there. Outside of that, nothing more. We partied together and everything. So we dated and partied together for about a year. And then I got pregnant with our son. During the first initial year, though, like, I mean, we were young. You had your spats or whatever. We broke up. We got back together. We broke
Hmm.
up, back and forth. I never really expected him to put his hands on me ever until after I had our son. I got sick and it was, I'm a new mom. I was 19 at the time. Brand new mom, sick baby, or I was sick and I was breastfeeding, trying to do the best, all the things that
Hmm.
moms do. He
Yep.
worked nights. We were staying with one of his family members, and I had ran like 100+ fever that entire week. So
Can
by
we
the,
pause for a second?
yeah,
I Please forgive me, but I need people to hear what I'm seeing while you're talking. Just from the standpoint of, one, you're 19, and the innate maternal instinct is, I'm literally dying with 104 fever, but let you have some of my life while I breastfeed. Like, people don't understand. And
no,
I want to highlight it because so many times abuse either becomes present during the pregnancy or just after, or it escalates and people don't know. And I believe, and I got to do more research on it, it's because the woman is already at such a weaker state that it's like time to attack.
you know what? That could be because I mean, he was roughly 3 weeks old.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was working at night, I'm up and down with the baby. And that last like night, day, whatever it was, I was sick. I was starting to get delusional. I was so sick. And one of his family members kept telling me, like, oh, it's just a cold. Girl, when I tell you I was sick, like I was like, this is not a cold. I was like trying to take Tylenol, ibuprofen, and not like impact the baby and
Mm-hmm.
breastfeed and everything else. Um, and he had gotten home from work that morning, and I was like, will you either watch the baby? So he had worked a 12-hour shift. I said, will you please watch the baby, or will you just take me to the hospital? Like, I can't do this. Like, I was literally delusional. Like, I was like, I'm scared. Like, I'm sick. He punched me in the face. And he screamed at me and was like, I just got off work, all the things, which I remember I was like, kind of like, what? Like, I didn't know what to do at first. So I took our baby and went to a friend's house, and his mother took me to the hospital. I was borderline sepsis. I could have died. Yeah.
Okay, because this happened really quick.
Oh, yeah.
So y'all, let's slow it down for a second so that everybody keep up.
Okay.
You knew each other. Did you meet in high school? Had y'all gone to school for a
We
while?
grew up in the same town.
Had he had girlfriends before you?
He did, but so my parents were divorced, so I kind of went back and forth. I really didn't know he existed until high school.
Okay.
Embarrassingly enough, like he had failed 2 grades and like
Wait,
whatever.
say, wait. Like these are details that are so important.
So
And
he
people don't
failed
realize it.
2 grades. He was my age. We are the same age. We're a week apart. Um, but he failed, so he was 2 grades below me, and I he was cute. Was. I mean, that's really all I gotta say is like we partied together.
It
That was
was
a
a
good
good
time.
time.
That was it. Because like once I got pregnant and everything, it was kind of like that was it. And to be honest,
Hmm.
even to date, we have no compatibility. There's
Yeah.
nothing, we're two completely different people,
Yes.
very large scale. I actually took his GED so he could pass it.
The things we do.
Girl, I bought him a car.
The things. Why are
And
we like
that was
this?
before I got pregnant.
Why are we like
But do
this?
you want to know what's even funnier? You're gonna love this. Everyone's gonna love this. He actually proposed to me way before I got pregnant. And I actually had a conversation with one of my children about this a while back, just out of curiosity. And I was like, yeah, he proposed to me in bed, and I rolled over and said no and went back to sleep.
Before you got pregnant.
Before. Yeah, I know. I
So
know.
when you graduated high school, did y'all just move right in together?
So I graduated early, and I was going to spend my summer living my best life before I
Hey,
went to college. I had a house, so I let him move in with me. And yeah, I know. Trust
and
me.
that I'm not hanging my head because of the
I'll do it
decision.
though. Every person that I've ever encountered, their stories are like not all the way similar, but they've either bought them something, they've done something to further their career. Like, I put this man through college.
Yes. Yes.
Ah,
It's because their nature is parasite
ah,
and our nature is nurture,
nurture.
give, like
Yeah.
showing you love. What we do, and I'm saying we because you are me and I am you in my mind. We love or we show love the way that we want to receive it.
Yeah. And
And
that's
it's
very
like
accurate.
we can't it's hard, like it takes a lot of internal fighting for me. Like even now, if I were to find myself in a situation where I see somebody that I'm interested in and they say that they're interested in me, it's going to take internal fighting with myself not to just like pour
Yeah.
out.
I think too, like for me, same thing, but it's also like I have to remember that even though, I mean, if you look at the statistics with men, there's a lot of them, like we're talking in the 80th up. It's still not all men,
Right.
and so like I have to remind myself and my body that like just because he did it doesn't mean he's going to do it,
Right.
and unless they show that or like, but you still don't know. It's so
You
crazy.
don't know. You
I would
don't
love to
know.
know what the experience is on the other end to have never dealt with abuse and just like live, like where you don't have to undo all these things and like
Mhm.
retrain your body to react and like, your nervous system. Like that would be incredible to know. But I mean, the statistics are out there, so men are not giving themselves very good names.
No. And I think too, like to talk about the person that didn't experience what we experienced, they
Yeah.
have the level of confidence that doesn't like, I want your love. I would
Yeah.
love to spend this time with you, but you've clearly shown me in your actions, even though they're minor, that this is not going to work out. Like for me, it's justification for a lot of us because there's no reason for you to have a house and then, oh yeah, baby, come move in with me. You know what I'm saying? There's no reason for
I
me to.
caught that as a lot of red flags because, like,
Yes.
very much so. Also, I've learned to take it a lot slower.
Mm-hmm.
And I had one brief like encounter, whatever you want to call it. Like we were just talking and stuff. And one of my children were sick, took them to the ER. They had a kidney infection. Girl, this man got so angry at me because I canceled and he was like, "You're catering to them or something." And I said,
Mm-hmm.
"They have a kidney infection, clearly ill." Guess what? I just blocked him because he
Yeah.
was literally
Okay,
like
bye.
off. And then he found me, you know how they do,
Yes.
found me and tried to come back and like apologize and stuff. And I said, I do not, there was no reason for that type of behavior right off the bat. Absolutely not.
Right.
No.
And the apologies for anyone who's asking why do you go back, it's after they've spent however many months, in some cases years, with the gaslighting, the love bombing and the manipulation and rewiring your brain that you don't really realize is happening. It's the boiling frog situation what
Oh
actually
yeah.
happens. Then when they show that side of them, it's like, oh my gosh, baby, I'm sorry. And you see this big, strong man who
Mhm.
all of a sudden breaks down and
That's
starts
awful.
crying. And it's like, oh my gosh, so you really do can
I feel
feel.
like that's where your nurture comes out in a way, though. Like your nurture, and you're just like, I don't know. For me, I used to be very forgiving, and I used
Mm-hmm.
to be like, everybody deserves a chance. Like they're sorry. It's really based on the actions, though. And like, if you're
Yes.
not careful and cautious, I mean, man, they can make it so good.
Yes.
Give it just that one time of whatever it might be. Like you could even like just knock over a glass and it's
Mm-hmm.
over again. And
Mm-hmm.
you're right back in square one. And then you're walking on eggshells and you're doing all the things and you're trying to just keep the peace.
Oh my, that part.
Yes.
The go along to get along thing. And we always have to swallow everything. But you said there was two things. The one thing is, yes, my new motto is everybody does deserve a second chance, but sweetheart, you don't have to be the one to give it to them.
Well,
You
and
know what I'm saying?
I feel like you can forgive somebody.
Yes.
I actually had a really great experience with this a few years back. You can forgive somebody for a changed behavior, but you do not have, it still doesn't, you don't have to allow them back in your life. Like it
Yes.
can go from being, and my experience with this was this person was an alcoholic and had gone to rehab and all these things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so they gave me a genuine, like face to face, which is pretty, like that takes a lot of courage.
Mm-hmm.
Apology. And, but, they also apologized to somebody else I knew. They didn't want anything to do with them, but like they accept that and they still were a great person post that.
Yeah.
You can fully, I think you can come back from some things. There's some things
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I actually like just in my own research and stuff will never be able to understand like rates, things like that. The mentality, I don't think you can come back from that. I personally
Mm-hmm.
just don't think that's something that you can. Like, how
That's
do you
fair.
explain that? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But you could, I mean, you could be somebody that used to be, violent
Mm-hmm.
and truly taken those steps. It doesn't mean anybody you've impacted has to forgive you
Right.
or allow you back in their life, but you can like continue your life in a positive manner.
Yes, which shows true healing
Yes, it does.
because you understand the impact that you had on this person.
Right.
They can forgive you and not let you back, or they don't forgive you at all. Your reaction or
Yes.
response to that shows if you really are who you say you are at this point. And I
Mhm.
completely agree with you. Like we have to, I think this is a confidence thing
Yeah.
because to be able to have that statement that you just made and be in the space that you're in to say, I can forgive you and still protect my peace. Like
Right.
we went through what we went through. I can believe that you are remorseful for it and you're healing from it. That doesn't mean if I'm letting you back in my life at this point, it's really more so because my confidence isn't where it needs to be. And I'm putting your feelings, which is what we do in abusive ships. I'm putting your feelings ahead of mine. Like, why
Right.
didn't you call the police and why didn't you send him to jail? I didn't want to
Oh,
be the reason that he went to jail. I didn't want to be the bad guy. But the truth is, you weren't the bad guy.
well, and when you say that, like that's also something just from everything, experience, research I've done, this, that, and the other. Recently I was told, with police officers and stuff, like I don't know that they have enough actual like education training.
Nope,
Personally, I feel like they need more, but
they
also
do.
I somewhat feel like it's a very outdated mindset. And I always go back to the whole, we know that Uncle ABCDF can't be allowed around children, but we don't hold him accountable. Just put the kids in the corner with a camera on. I see a lot of the change in the world coming from that, but like it's a struggle. It's a huge struggle.
Hmm.
And I've had friends, which is mind blowing, absolutely mind boggling to me. With video footage, with,
Hmm.
statements, all of the above. I mean, physical, and the police do nothing. They don't
Correct.
file a report.
Hmm.
Um, and for me personally, this is just my personal view on it. That makes me feel like that particular officer is doing it. And that's terrifying because as a victim, that's supposed to be a safe haven. That is supposed to be where you go because they want you to, call the police or whatever. And then your next step would be what? Courthouses. Like,
Yes.
and I've even seen it in courthouses where they will completely, and this is bizarre to me because I feel like if you have children, there's absolutely no reason to ever say to whether it's a man or a woman, because it can happen either way.
Hmm.
Um, well, he did it to you or she did it to you, but they're not going to do it to your kids. Like, what are we doing? Like, where did that mindset come from? You know?
There's a clip from the movie Enough, Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah.
What was that, 2000 something?
Ooh, I don't know, but I've seen that.
There's a clip when she finally goes to the police station and she's like, "Hey, I have a friend, hypothetically speaking, I have
Yeah.
a friend who is her husband is being physically violent to her." And the police officer says, "Well, if she has proof of physical violence, then she needs to bring the case to us." And J Lo is like, "Okay, so she has proof, and like, what does that mean?" He's like, "It doesn't mean that they're going to go to jail, and if they do go to jail, they can still bail out." And she's like, "So I'm just pissing them off." Then she says, which goes like both of these things is this conversation. Then she says, "Okay, so what about the kid?" And he's like, "Oh, there's a kid involved. Well, that's going to be for a whole different court system, which is family court. And they're going to have to prove that he is a threat of danger to the child." Which is the very thing that you just said that I've been like really digesting a lot lately. I'm like, how in the world
If
do
we're
we
not,
have why are we doing one why are we giving 50-50 custody knowing that this person knowing that this person abused you the mom or the dad, you give them 50 custody. Now I still have to go interact and see this person because the court is making me do it, and you're
so
saying that I'm not a harm to the kid.
that and, I mean, a lot of these women, and I want to reiterate because I had a friend who is a male military trained. So like, this man has video footage of this woman be wildly, like, I mean, just wailing on him. And do you know the cops told him, well, you can handle it. And he's like, I can't lay a hand on her. So I'm standing there like this. She's beating me, but I can't do anything. The police don't take me seriously. So it does go both ways, very much
Yes.
so. Like women can be like that too. I just feel like men aren't taken like him seriously at all. They're like, oh, well, you can handle it. Had
Hmm.
it would have been a whole, like, so it's kind of an interesting dynamic we have within all that. But I don't
Yes.
understand at all when it involves children, the mindset of that's like okay at all to expose them to. You're
Oh,
exposing vulnerable developing children to a situation, a person who is impressionable on these children
yes.
at vulnerable ages,
Yes.
crucial ages. So what are we doing? You're creating the whole spiral again.
Right. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to if I sell drugs and I make crack in my house and there are kids involved, I'm going to jail. Like this just made whatever you're going to sentence me with made it completely worse. But my dad punching my mom and strangling her in front of me doesn't, or my mom hitting my dad with like it doesn't.
Exactly.
How again? How are we not in the same world?
I again, like I do a lot of research, reading and stuff, and just trying to kind of wrap around how, because you've seen like the memes where
Hmm.
like there's a set of twins, and the
Hmm.
parents and alcohol, they were both raised by one parent that was an alcoholic. One of them becomes the alcoholic, and the other like never touches liquor. That's all we're doing.
Yes,
And it's really not fair to them at the end of the day because like as they get older, they have to unravel that.
that's still trauma.
Yep, they have to unpack that. But then you've got these two parents and they're like, well, why would anybody let me see, Doug? Why were they allowing that? And you're like, I don't know. They just decided that that was cool. I
Hmm.
don't have an explanation, but there's no
Hmm.
accountability on that end either. When you
No.
get higher into the systems and like you go further into them, because
Hmm.
even whether it's like CPS, DCFS, these entities that are to protect children, you could have a gun standoff with kids in the house. And if they are in their bedroom, they weren't there. So society, like these programs, like society, all of
Hmm.
us, like it's
Hmm.
there's such a disconnect and such a weird like navigational about it because I mean, you could go to jail for cooking crack in your house when your kids were in the bedroom, but not for having a gun standoff.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
make that make sense, you know?
Yes. And it's exactly what you said. It's not your personal belief or opinion. It is what you said that not only are officers not trained appropriately to manage abusive situations, but the courtroom is not like the judges aren't trained, the attorney, don't get me started on, we're not going to get on attorneys because that just irritates me for you to
So it
know that
depends.
you're
It
defending.
depends, with your attorneys to give them credit where it's due.
Yeah.
A lot of them actually have to take courses. They are mandated to take courses on it if they are practicing in family law. Now, the judges, I don't know. I
They're
actually don't know if and I haven't dug deep enough into that. I just personally don't understand how somebody could sit there with facts presented to them,
mm-hmm.
literally factual facts, and
Yes.
make a determination that will forever impact their lives. And because like somebody says something different or wants to be like, no, that didn't happen when it's factual, they
Yes.
still will rule the other way or like, in some cases, force the parents to co-parent and,
Yes.
do this. And it's like, I would love to unravel in their head, what are you thinking?
Yes.
You're sitting up there. Like these are children's lives. These are little
Hmm.
vulnerable babies. And you just, where did that come from? I would love to know that.
Hmm.
I would love to pick apart one of their brains.
It's a disconnect. I think it's just the disconnect. Oh,
It could
I
be an
feel like it's
overwhelm.
blatant,
Well, and I mean,
blatant distancing
but
because it
because you
doesn't make sense.
but you do have some of these, what do they call them? Crying wolf.
Yeah.
And but I feel like the majority that's coming out and coming forward that I've heard, seen, or like, whatever, they're factual and it's still just
Hmm.
wild to me. You hear the story and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
Because we're not talking about the ones that are crying wolves. We're talking about the ones who you just said, I'm coming to court with all of these facts. And here's another reason. I'm coming to court with all of these facts. A lot of times the judge sits in that courtroom, and that courtroom is the kingdom. Like, and you I don't care what you've been through, you're going to behave the way I want you to behave, or I'm going to put you out.
yeah,
And the training that needs to be had is when a person who is in an abusive ship comes in here to sit across the room from the person that's been abusing them. One, you need to know that mental manipulation has already taken place. Two, you need to know the time that we're having this sit down, he or she who was abused is still emotionally unstable to be in the same room with the person that caused them all the trauma. Three, the person who's causing the trauma, 9 times out of 10, is going to sit there and put on their face of nonchalant, nothing's going to bother me. And I'm frantic because you don't see, while you're talking to me, everything that I'm presenting to you. And you're saying, oh, well,
because of the
even though
behavior right there.
he's right there, he's right there, or she's right there.
Yeah.
And even though you have evidence of this, we're going to take a plea deal. So he's just going to get, or she's going to get probation and time served or whatever the foolishness that happens. But like, you expect me to be, you want me to go sit in a lion's cage with the lion and not be afraid and not show fear and not speak out of turn, or whatever reason it
Yeah.
is for them to talk bad about the person who's actually been
Well, I also
abused.
think it's really hard, and I think it's very outdated. I did, when they're telling, you've got kids involved and whatever, they always tell you, and I've been told this a million times, be the bigger person. You have
Mhm.
to, and once I started therapy and like went down this whole long rabbit hole, that's one of the most abusive things you can say to somebody, because
Mhm.
right there tells you that other person is so unstable that the stability of the one has to maintain that you're going to be the one that has to, you know.
Yes.
And I think that's just I don't understand it. I literally would love to sit down with a judge and unravel what your process is. Like, how do you make that determination? Like, you know, what kind of evidence do you actually need? Like, is it paper? I mean, do they need to come in, or do you need them to be in ICU, laid up in bed? Like, what is it? What does it take for you to recognize it?
The problem is it's based on the judge.
Oh, yeah.
There's no standard
Well,
of
I mean,
operations here.
we have laws, but I mean, the ultimate thing is it's based off of the judge.
Hmm. Because the people that you could sit down with and have that conversation are the ones that sees what's happening,
Yeah.
and they judge accordingly. The
Oh,
one you want to talk to is going to be offended the fact that you even approached he or she with this information, and how dare you question what I'm
yeah.
determining to be
Or how dare
a
you
fair
share
trial.
that?
Yes.
Like, how dare you share that? That happened so long ago, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I've had, in my experience with his family, them be like, well, you guys, you were young.
Yes.
You guys are young. And looking back, not one of them ever like called the police for me.
Mm-hmm.
And even as I told in the beginning with my story, the first time he did it, I went to our friend's house, and God love,
Yes.
it was a mutual friend, but his mom and dad were wonderful. She took care of me for 2 weeks, didn't tell him where I was at or anything, but never called the police. And we lived in a very remote, small isolation town.
Yeah.
Never told him where I was at, never like gave him anything. I got better, and then, of course it starts. Like, he figured out, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, it'll never happen again.
Yeah.
You know, it really just escalated from that point. And I mean, even my own family, I'm going to say this, which I find is odd too. I don't know if you've experienced this in your story or anything, but like, they were always on my side as far as protecting me, but none of them ever took the courage to also call the police for me,
Yeah.
or, really advocate on that level. Like, they would move me out, like they would come get me. I mean, I have a younger, my brother's quite significantly younger than me. And I remember one time he was like, I'll beat him up. And I was like, you're a baby. Like, I love you. But no,
Yeah.
not get in that line of fire ever, which for him and his age, I could see that. But like, even throughout like having to encounter and deal with him all these years,
Hmm.
because we had children together and such, you know, getting people to go to court and testify against him, well, that's just too much.
Yeah.
Your life's too much. You're too much. Um,
Yes.
and that goes on both sides. Like he has a family that enables him, which is wild to me, and
Hmm.
maybe why I do kind of hold my children to a different standard. Like if someone called me and said, your one child was doing this, before I discredit that, I'm going to investigate it first. And
Hmm.
then if they need to be held accountable, like I'm going to hold you accountable for your behavior
Yeah. Yeah.
because it starts at home. I'm not going to just instantly, because that's my flesh and blood over to the left.
Hmm.
I'm absolutely not. Like you, again, we're humans. We make mistakes and such. But I'm not gonna defend you on your bad behavior. Absolutely not. We're not doing this, you know.
It's a community of enabling and a community of misdirected accountability.
Yes.
Everything you just said, and we talk about this, I talk about this so much on so many episodes, but everything you just said, like it blows my mind that there are people who can be considered family and friends, and
Mhm.
then they know that this one person is abusive. Then that abuser brings their new supply around the family, and nobody says anything. Like, what? Where does where does loyalty lie? But then you won't help this person. In your case, you you let this man move
I
in with you.
Yeah. I asked a man once, a friend of mine, because we had a mutual friend and she was being abused. And I helped her here and there, like with little things, but I'm a 5'3" woman. Her husband was like 6'2". Like, I mean, you know, so I did ask him one day, I said, because he worked out at the gym, we were all a part of like the same group of things. And I said, like being transparent, I was like, why can't you just get in your truck and go help her?
Hmm.
Like, so she can get her things out. And like, I was like, why don't you guys, like, why doesn't a man call the police?
Yeah, that part.
I feel like they would take it more from you than me, her.
Hmm.
And he was like, he actually was just like, I don't have an answer for you. I don't know.
Was this situation before or after he started abusing you?
This was not my abuser. This was a friend of mine and her.
Oh, this is
Oh,
just a
yeah.
friend. Okay, okay.
Now mine, I've asked some of my family members and I don't get direct answers. I
Hmm.
get, well, I did what I could at the time, or like again, that whole too much.
Yeah.
Well, it's too much. I feel like some of my family members want to be involved in my life when it's good.
Hmm.
But when it's bad or rough, or, when I was experiencing that, there was such a large disconnect.
Yeah.
Like, well, once you figure it out and like kind of get yourself together, let us know kind of thing. And it's like looking back, it's like, why would you do that?
Hmm.
And then I just, from my own experience, fighting it on your own, I mean, I feel like a lot, I shouldn't say just myself, I've seen it a lot. I don't know why everybody, it's almost like everybody disappears. I
In
don't
a
know.
lot of cases, they do, and I think too, it's their own shame of knowing that they're not helping the person that they say that they love.
That could be. I mean, I don't know.
Because my life is too much, my safety is too much,
See,
your
right
niece or
there. That's
nephew or
what I
grandchild is too
don't,
much.
yeah.
And I it like honestly,
Because I
hey,
started getting a little vocal with his family, and I did tell them, I was like, you know what? I have no respect for any of you.
mm,
You guys have enabled his behavior, and I said, you are just as guilty as him
mm-hmm,
by enabling and all these things. And they were like, well, Natalie, you're just being difficult.
mm-hmm. I think too it speaks to the trauma that they're hiding.
Maybe.
Because if you think about it, it takes a healed person to be able to have a healthy conversation or a stable conversation and healthy communication, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times when you bring up accountability to someone who hasn't healed from whatever trauma they've experienced, they feel attacked. They
Yeah.
try to deflect and be like, well, it's not my fault, you know. And then in their brain it's like, you don't know what I experienced growing up. You don't
And
know what
that's the key.
I
I
don't,
don't think
which
you
is
can
why we need to talk about it.
lie.
Let's just get it all out on the table so we can all work through this.
Yeah. Yes, and I agree with that because I feel like, if you're going to stand on that ground, because I also, ran my mouth a few times on that level. And I eventually told his current wife that she was as abusive as him for hiding it, for exposing not only my children, but her children to it and continuing the cycle when she could have. And she could have gotten out. So I have a feeling about people like that too. I'd have backed her 100%. 5,000 actually. You know what I mean? But I see it. I know why. I actually know why. The other part I just don't understand on the why is why she wants to live like that. Why she wants to, like, this man has nothing going for him, nothing to give, nothing to offer. He's not a nice person. Um, Nothing. So, like, girl, get out of there. Take your babies and run. Like, please, let
So
me help.
he's remarried.
Yes. Hmm?
And do
Oh,
you
it gets
you
better.
but okay, wait.
So I left him. We started splitting up because something my mother did say, she may not have always jumped to the scene, called the cops, but she was like, when you're done, you're gonna know it.
Yeah.
And she's like, I can't, like, basically, I can't help you until you're ready to be done.
And I think hold right there. I think that that's important too because people want to know why someone who's been abused doesn't leave or they do leave and they go back because of the psychological abuse that has taken place, the confusion that your body is in and the trauma and the rewiring of your brain that
Yeah.
takes place. It takes an average surprisingly 4 to 7 times for someone to actually leave for good. It's an addiction for a lot of
Took me a
people.
lot longer. I went through
it
some.
I
Um,
mean, for some people, some people get out immediately, and some people it's that drawback and that drawback for several
Well,
different
a
reasons.
part of me truly wanted for my children, you have the societal standards and stuff. I really wanted them to have both parents in the household.
And pause. That's why family court is the way it is. Because there's so
Agree.
much external pressure from society that we believe,
Yep.
as twisted as it sounds, it's better for a child to grow up in a two-parent household, even if one parent is abusive, than it is for that child to grow up with a single parent or two different households. That's
Right.
the mindset of family court.
Yes, it is. It's very outdated too. We can talk about
That's
that
one of the
all
reasons
day.
why I stayed also. Because
Yeah.
my brain was like just like yours. Well,
Yeah.
I want them to, and in the moment too.
So many things too to like alter myself and like try to fit and like eggshell it basically.
Hmm.
Whatever I could do, like there was one point in time where, he was like, "Oh, you're fat," which I've never been fat a day in my life. I went down that rabbit hole and then it was, just anything,
Hmm.
everything, make sure the laundry's done right. Like, and I was
Yep.
working too, and like it's looking back, it was like insane behavior for me.
Hmm.
It wasn't who I was. Like I gave up my friends. I had a really good friend. Um, and like we didn't really mend our friendship years later, but she came back around and it was even when we were just dating, before I even got pregnant with our son. She could not stand him. And he really like started driving a wedge
Yep.
between her and I. And I'll never forget the day that she was like, you know what? I'm done. I don't want to talk to you. And like I remember trying, but she really put like the halt.
Hmm.
And it was years later that we reconnected. Um, but yeah, they put that wedge in there and like you have no friends. I had his friends,
Hmm.
family, and not saying like mine wasn't around. One of my siblings were a full-time student working two jobs. My two younger were in high school still. You know, like life kind of doesn't revolve just around me, but the things I did to make it work because society
Yeah.
said like, this is what's normal. And I'm a firm believer now. You can have one healthy parent and they can be wonderful parents and
Yeah.
have a good household. I mean, does it take a little extra? Absolutely. But if the other parent is toxic, abusive, all of these things, that child is better off moving.
Yes.
But they don't have any like court procedural things where it's like if that parent is toxic,
Hmm.
where they have to be mandated into like counseling and these programs. But then that also goes into even if they mandate it, who's following up with it?
Hmm.
Who's
There's
going
so
to,
many things.
right. So I was kind of a dummy with that, and I finally did leave. And ironically, I found out I was pregnant when we were
Mm.
separated. I know, right? Right.
I have to pause you on that. You weren't a dummy, and because we have to still take into consideration. Yes, we have this view of what we think society wants for us, but the manipulation and the
Yeah.
psychological abuse that had taken place has already rewired our brain to confusion so
Yeah.
that logical decisions weren't there anymore. It
I think it's
wasn't
confusion
what's
and
to
fear.
protect. Yes, it's
Mhm.
not safety for me and my babies. It's how do I how do I minimize what's
Yeah.
happening? Because this we believed that there was in the moment we believed that there was something that we could do to make it work, and there was never going to be anything,
Yeah.
either one of us or whoever's watching, there's never going to be anything you
And I
can
think that's
do
what my mom meant by that.
to make
Like
them work.
I had to
Yes.
figure out that there was nothing I could do,
Yes.
change, say, nothing, literally across the board. And
Hmm.
when I did, and I was pregnant with our other daughter, our daughter and everything, I mean, it didn't stop. It escalated it at first, quite a bit. He would stalk me, and after I had her,
Hang on. So did you leave and then find out you were pregnant, or you found out you were pregnant and
we
you
were
left?
in the midst of separating,
Okay.
and I found out I was pregnant.
And by separating, like we're now living in two separate places.
We were working on that. I was making him move out
Mm-hmm.
of the home. And so it was like a process.
Of
And
course.
actually, I had a very hard time getting him out of the house.
Wait, because let's talk about how much is the process for you to move out, but it wasn't a process for you to move in.
Well, I didn't, you blindly like trust and love. So I had put him on my lease.
I
And,
know. Don't you ain't got to talk
and
to me about it.
yeah. And so he would move out and then I
Mm-hmm.
would come home from work and he would just be there and the police would be like, well, there's nothing we can do. He lives here.
Yeah.
Yep. So that was a constant thing.
Yep.
Like randomly, he would just be at my house. Like I would come home
Mm-hmm.
from work and I'm like, wow, wow, where's your other girlfriend? Like, don't you have her home to go to now? Like,
Yep.
why are you here? Um, and so after I had her, I mean, it didn't really end until he secured another woman.
Did you feel obligated? I'm listening. I promise I am. I'm
Uh,
still hung up on the the separation and the baby. Did you feel obligated to tell him because you're still in a certain mental state? You've gotten to a point where it's like, okay, I want you out. But if we're being honest, just because you get to a point where you're ready to leave or you're ready to separate
yeah.
doesn't mean that you're emotionally mature or realigned to not feel like there's some level of duty that you owe to them to tell them certain things. Did you feel obligated to be like, hey, I'm pregnant?
Well, that
And
conversation, so we were packing his things together.
mhm,
Looking back, it's kind of comical. I'm kind of funny. So I just know my body and I don't know. I'm like Captain Fertile Marvel over here and like figured that out years later. Like literally, um, I found out I was pregnant with my daughter when I was 3 weeks because
mhm,
I don't know, whatever.
yeah,
Hell. And so I thought something was wrong. did all the pregnancy tests. They were all negative, but I'm like, I swear to God, like something is either very, very wrong. So I actually went to my OB and made her do a blood test.
Okay.
And she was like, yeah, you're like 3 weeks pregnant, Natalie, go home. Like, come see me in like 6 more weeks. Like, why are you here? So it was really early on.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember what we were conversating or art. I think we were arguing over something, and it was that because I was like, I'm pregnant. And he wanted me to have an abortion. And I said no. And I said, no.
What?
Yes, yes, he did. I'll never forget that because I said no. I said, I'll raise this baby with or without you. Mhm. Yeah.
There's there's two different sides. There's the one that I don't want you to have it, and then there's the one that you
So
better
yeah,
have this
yeah.
baby because my legacy and my name and all the blood. You better not. How dare you do anything that's going to harm my seed, even though I'm beating up on you, right?
Well, and you know, he did not, it's not like I just in a way want to know where his mentality was. He didn't even
Hmm.
like have a job.
Hmm.
I wasn't going to get money from him. There was
Right.
nothing to be had. Um, yeah, and I was like, no. So I went through my pregnancy
Hmm.
yeah, and
Yes.
all the things. He would show up at the house all the time. He actually, so a lot of our furniture, we were young, we got from like his family and people had given it to us. The week, was it the week of? It might have been the week of, day before, whatever, my baby shower. Do you know that he took the couch his dad gave us, my kitchen table? He even took our son's bed, cleared the
That
house.
sounds about right.
So when I came home and I was devastated, like my mom and her best friend pulled all this shit out of their ass, had like a couch for me. Um, it honestly, because I was so devastated and I was like
Hmm.
embarrassed
Yeah.
for telling her on the phone. I was like, I have to cancel the baby shower. Like, I can't do this. Like, I have nothing in my house but my bed right now. And like, of course, he didn't take like this silverware or anything, but
Hmm.
all the big items were gone.
Yeah.
And her one little friend like showed up with all this random stuff that they had gotten. And it was a good time, but like that was the kind of things he did. And even though he had another girl, he would still come to me randomly showing up at my house and yeah, try to weasel his way back in or whatever.
Hmm.
I guess a trigger warning. There was one time, which my oldest remembers this, the only part he remembers is I came home from work and my garage was attached where I could walk into my living room and I would park my car there because again, you have fear. So like I would park
Hmm.
inside. I didn't want him to like mess with my car or anything. He was there. He had ridden his motorcycle and he was sitting there eating. Like, and I was a struggling young mom. Like I didn't have a lot of money. So like the food I had was the food I had. He's eating my food. I'm pregnant. I have this toddler on my hip. And I simply was like, I need you to leave. He was sitting on my couch eating and he wouldn't say a word. And I was like, I need you to leave. Like, I need you to go home. And he launched the plate at me and I moved and it put a hole in my wall. And my oldest remembers that because he's like, I didn't know what the full, he's just like, I just remember the plate hitting the wall and then like you guys arguing. And I'm like, well, yeah, 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 yeah.
The things they remember that
And
you don't know that they're going to remember.
one of my children are an adult now. So having some of these conversations and like, it's sad to me. Like it breaks my heart. Um, some of the memories and like putting those puzzle pieces together.
Hmm.
But I also, after all my years of experience with it, I don't believe in that. They'll tell you like, oh, never talk negative. Because I said this in front of a mediator and a GAL when we had to sit and whatever. The mediator had a degree in psychology
Hmm.
and law. And of course, you got the GAL there. He was going back and forth being like, well, she's crazy, but she's a good mom, but she's crazy. And I was like, you know what? I was like, if you're going to allow him to gaslight me in front of you, I'm out. This is not what we're here for. We're not doing this. And if you guys want to continue this, I was like, then you two need to be held accountable for making me endure it. And they ended the session. it's just, but they would say things like, you can't talk bad. There's a difference between talking bad about the other parent and a difference between telling the truth. Very big differences because you shouldn't have to manipulate the truth to hide somebody's personality. That is unfair to you and to those children because they
I,
experience it. I can tell you.
I don't know how I'm going to handle that because mine are, the boy just turned 6 in March. The girls will be
Okay.
5 in July.
So you got baby babies. My oldest will be
Yes.
20 and my
Holy
daughter
moly on a
will
show.
be 17.
I have baby babies.
You got baby babies.
And it's one of those things where you hear all the time. This is another layer of pressure that is put on the mother, the woman, the victim.
Yep.
And again, we know that there are men out there who have full custody of their kids, and it's vice versa. We get that. I can only speak from a woman because I was born a woman and I'm still a woman. So, that being said, it's amazing. And it goes back to what you said in regards to how they expect you once they say, hey, we got joint custody, you be the bigger person. It's another layer of pressure of having to dodge the truth.
Oh yeah.
And you hear this all the time, which is just don't say anything, just wait. When they get older, they're going to see for themselves. And I too get that. I get that you don't want to.
It's devastating. Because my oldest is really,
Mhm,
has the voice and like in a better scenario and everything. And it's really
mhm.
heartbreaking for me because he's like, growing up, they talked all these things about you, mom, all these things. And he's like, now it was never you. And
And
he's
that's what it always is.
experienced that. You know what I mean? He experienced that from his father.
Yes.
And that breaks my heart because I was like, I never wanted to prevent you guys like from having a healthy relationship, but I also
Mhm.
got to a point because again, I've been through years of therapy. I'm still actually in it. I do
Yeah.
EDM because you when you endure it for so very long, I have
Mhm.
CPTSD. It's complex because it's still cycling. It
Yeah.
stops. And so for him, he's doing well with it, but it still breaks my heart because
Right.
I wish I had the brain I had back like now, back then. There were so many things I would have done different.
Yeah.
I didn't know that like you see a lot of men, women, either way, pick dads or moms, where the other parent just disappears for years at a time.
Yes.
I had no idea how easy it was to get them removed from the birth certificate when they do that until years later. And I was like, why is this not like a class? Like,
Yeah.
why is this not like literally when you walk into a family, like, they have
Yes.
offices, why is that not a pamphlet? Why?
Right.
So the things you learn
Hmm.
over time, and it's an unfortunate experience for my kids. Like that's where it lies for me. Because I can truly like fully separate from it at this point in my life. I can heal from it. I could care less what happens to him.
Yeah.
But they now have unraveling, healing to do, whether they choose to or not too. My
Yeah.
oldest isn't an adult. He doesn't have to. I do applaud him for like, but I've always been an advocate for therapy and getting my kids in therapy,
Yes.
keeping them in therapy, and especially with boys, like it's okay to go to therapy. It's okay to, express these things and like,
Hmm.
I'm not here to, you're not gonna not ever cry or have an emotion, but you deserve to, emotions are emotions. Go to therapy.
Yes.
There's so,
Navigate. Have somebody help you navigate through what you
yeah.
can't
And
communicate.
I don't feel like there's any shame in that,
There's not supposed to be.
but there is for men.
There is for everybody, but yes, even more so for men.
Yeah, because he's like, well, dad would never like go to therapy with me, but he's like, you were always like, all right, cool. Like, I'll go, I'll have a session with you. Like, do we need 10 or 5 or 3? Like, what do we need? And
Yeah.
then he made the comment one time recently where he was like, if I say to you, like, this is my experience from childhood, he's like, you don't alter it. He's like, sometimes, which, you have to unlearn things. So my
Hmm.
experience, because I was the mom, he's the child, it was different. from his point of view to mine, he experienced what he experienced, and he was like, but at least you're not like, that didn't happen. Oh,
Right.
you're lying. He's like, you'll be like, well, okay, that's like, okay, yeah, that's your experience. And either like whatever it is, we either fix it, or like he's like, I can come to you and be like, Mom, you're being ridiculous, and this is why. And he's like, we can either talk about it or, whatever. But he's like, I can't do that with my father.
Yeah.
It's never his fault. It never happened. It, you know, everything's a lie. And he's like, I have
Mhm.
memories of it. Like it happened. Like things happen. I'm like, I know that feeling, because he'll sit there in front of me, God, and everybody and be like, I didn't do that.
We did not do that.
And I'm like, sir, it's,
Yes.
I don't know how we got here in society at the end of the day.
It's because we started here.
There's no way we started here. If we started here,
We definitely, because you have, okay, let's take it back to biblical times. I don't know your religious background or your beliefs, but let's just say, looking at the Bible, you have the men and the kings who have the word submissive is, always in there, the wives, then you have the concubines. And so what happens is the men, the males today will take the scripture from then and try to apply it to today. But
yeah.
they'll completely remove the full responsibility that the men had back in the day. Like the
No, you're not
men
wrong about
fully
that.
provided everything,
Yeah.
and the wife did not have to do anything except for take care of the house and the kids. But the males today want you to work, take care of the house, take care of the kids, take care of their
Our
needs.
society has built this though. They have built it to where you have to have, I don't know, seven incomes right now. I don't know where we're at in
Yeah,
inflation
yeah, 6 or 7.
rate, but it's like seven
Yeah,
roughly, depending on the state you're in as well, but like
yeah,
seven incomes. And then you don't get an opportunity to and raise your children. You're
no.
relying on daycares and whether
Mm-hmm.
if you're lucky enough to have family members and
Mm-hmm.
um, right now, I mean, I don't know many people that can have one person stay home.
Yeah,
Somebody is working or doing a side hustle, or,
right.
it's, there's, society's doomed. We're all doomed about it.
It's definitely different,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I believe it's the mindset of, well, this is how they did it back in the day, minus the full responsibility of how they did it back in the day. Like they don't want all of the responsibility that you're not out here with 100 different oxen and doing all these things. You didn't have to buy, you know what I'm
Here's
saying? You
the
didn't have to
gym.
say that you like they this is what I learned when I after I left. Harpo over here, because he was really big, they're really big about their public, like the
Oh,
public opinion and the view and everything. And so he was really big on family. I just want this, he wants this family, he wants to leave this legacy and blah, 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 right? I realized because when we got together, he had 2 kids from his previous marriage that are in his aunt's custody. And so he would go see them every now and then. He didn't give, he's not on child support for them. So he would pop up and every now and then throw her some money and things like that. But he would always make himself seem like the victim when we were dating, like, oh, I wish I could just see my kids and blah, 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 blah.
I
So,
would love to actually hear his version of the
oh
story.
yeah,
Full version.
oh yeah, oh
Like,
yeah. It's not, it's, they were taken from
I've
me
heard
and
different versions of it. You know what I
mhm,
mean?
mhm,
I'd love for him to sit there and like just record the entire version of events.
absolutely.
I would love to hear it.
Absolutely. And let's talk about why you don't have custody of your own kids, but your aunt does.
See, and
So
we did like joint. We ended up doing joint, but that was due to financial
he
exhaustion.
doesn't have custody.
No.
His aunt has full custody because he went to jail for abusing his daughter.
Oh my God.
But then he made it seem like it wasn't abuse. And then he tried to put all the crazy and the abuse on his wife. And it's like, no, she's the crazy one, XYZ. So, anyways, he wasn't showing up, but he was, oh, woe is me. I wish that I had more access to my kids. I just can't da, 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 da. So me, when we're dating, like, well, let's figure it out. We could just, do this and this and this. So we get supervised visitation, I mean unsupervised visitation, all this stuff.
All that work, didn't you?
And I didn't realize till I left. I was like, this Joker wants access to the family, but not the responsibility of having the family. Because when his kids came over, first of all, I wasn't allowed to call them his kids. They were our kids, even though we hadn't developed, like, it was a quick thing that happened. So it's not like we had years
I've
to get to
noticed
know
that's
each other.
red flags anymore if they want to like instantly, like which I'm navigating right now.
Mm-hmm.
Child
Mm-hmm.
that's 19, so technically an adult, but like, they want to like swoop in and move in
Yeah.
together, or like they'll say things like, "Oh, you only call me for this now. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna come in and save you," or whatever. Because I've become not really independent. I take good care of myself, but I'm like, you're not gonna cut me off.
Right.
Like, no. So I
Right.
kind of I do let things like that pan out. You actually sound like his current wife, which breaks my heart too.
It's
Because
a shame.
it's not him that I ever well, I guess for his reputation, I would say that I've fought in court about.
Mm-hmm.
If she wouldn't be so overly involved, he would crumble. And I promise
Correct.
it's her.
Absolutely. Yes. And
And
it's
it breaks
always
my
the
heart
other.
for her
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know that she can't see it, or whatever he is continually doing to her. And maybe so she was a baby when he got her pregnant, freshly 19. He was almost 30. So I feel like he groomed her. And that's unfortunate and it's sad. I mean, but because his previous, so he had a fiance and I adored her. You want to talk about like stepmom of the year? This
That
woman
was her.
has never missed a birthday for my children. She genuinely loved them. Wonderful human being. Like she's remarried now. She has her
Mm-hmm.
own baby. She deserves like 30 more. She's that kind of person?
Yeah.
And he ruined it with her by having that affair with
Mm-hmm.
his current wife. Yeah. And that poor, like,
Mm-hmm.
she does all this work for him. And I'm like, what do you
Yeah.
do? But
Yep.
again, as you know, unless you're ready, unless you're willing, unless you I guess, feel like you can too. I mean, I had to get to that point where I felt emotionally ready and
Yep.
like just done.
Enough had to be enough.
Yeah, it really did.
Even and let just to be fully honest, because there are going to be people who aren't there. You're not necessarily going to be emotionally ready, especially depending on how long you were with them. You're not really emotionally ready because there's so many conversations that are had with people who have left and they're still emotionally attached and they're still wondering why. Okay, I know that I'm out of this unhealthy, unsafe environment, but why do I still want to go back? Why do I still want to reach out? Like, you're not going to be emotionally ready. Don't expect yourself to be.
That's very true.
You just have to realize, like, at some point the fear of staying has to be greater than the fear of leaving, and you got to go
I just
and
honestly
figure
like
it out.
I was just like, I'm done. I don't
Yes.
remember the exact why. I just remember being like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, why am
That's
I
where you
doing
have to get.
You know what I mean? And we were together, I think grand total, maybe 4 years total. 'Cause,
Hmm.
like I said in the beginning, we were in high school off and on, that back
Yeah.
and forth thing. Probably I would say closer to three, less than four in
Yeah.
there. But then the last 18 years of my life have been utter financial hell,
Hmm.
emotional hell.
Hmm.
And not just for myself, but because of like my kids, these babies.
Yes.
And there's only so much you can do. I mean, there's not enough like pro bono attorneys. There's not enough
Hmm.
time to educate yourself on the court proceedings or like this or that, or they'll abuse systems and like, report you over and over. And that takes its toll too.
Yes.
You add it all into that coercive control, and that gets dangerous.
That post separation abuse is real.
Oh,
And
it's
people, if you don't have kids, well, I can't even say that because there are people who don't have kids and the
yeah.
psychological, the stalking, like all of that stuff is like heightened for them.
Oh,
But then you
yeah.
have the people who do have kids and they're using every tool because you have kids together to continue to try to control your life.
Yep.
And if you don't have, if you're not in a situation where the court was like just all out in your favor and you have somebody like, I was lucky and blessed because he's afraid of the court. He doesn't want anything to do with court. He don't want anything to do with police.
Yeah.
And so I got to once I found out where he was to get him served the first time, I got to go to court. I had so much anxiety, but he
Oh, I'm
didn't show
sure.
up. So it was just my testimony of because I never called the police. So it's not like there was evidence, it was really
And I
only my
regret that for
testimony.
myself too. Like between, and you can warning this, but between like he raped me, he's hit me, you know, I regret not um filing police reports.
Yes.
But I was actually so afraid of him physically.
Hmm.
And that part in itself was terrifying.
Yes.
He was much bigger than me. I had watched him lay out a grown man bigger than him in one hit. And it's like, I knew what he was capable of. I know what he has done in the past to me. Like, did I want things to escalate? I had this toddler, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
can I, like, basically in my head, protect myself, but protect my baby too, you know? Um, I do regret that a lot. Like, there's a big regret.
That's my regret.
Well, I just regret not speaking up more, and I now understand it more so. So, like, for
Hmm.
you, like, yours is so narrow. Like, that's awesome. Like, I applaud you because a lot of us, years later speak out against it. You know,
Hmm.
very long time, like, to do that, you know.
Yeah.
And I see a lot more people in shorter times,
Yeah.
they're doing it more and more. And that's awesome because there are more people out there. I'm not going to say more resources. I have my feelings about those because if they were there, we wouldn't be here, you know?
It's a lot.
It
It's a
is.
lot to this part of the conversation is the answer to why didn't you leave or why did it take you so long to leave, because that's my biggest regret, or one regret from the
Yeah.
whole thing, was just call the police and have documentation. But the
Yes.
problem is, document if you're not going to call the police, you need to have like, you need to be the number one top A secretary of everything and find a safe way to file every single incident that happens so that when you do get out and you get to court, you be like, hey, dated, timestamp, this is what we got. But
Uh-huh.
that doesn't always happen. And the
No.
fear of calling the police, you don't know who you're going to get to show up, and you definitely don't know how they're going to respond. And there's so many stories.
So what he did later on, he moved from the area we both were living in actually, which was more like a metropolitan, um, not far from St. Louis, but still in Illinois.
Hmm.
We both lived here, and then he moved back to our hometown. They do nothing.
Yeah.
Literally nothing. Because one of some of the officers I've gone to high school with.
Hmm.
Um, Like they don't take it seriously. They do
No.
nothing about it. And of course he's got his safe haven there.
Hmm.
Yeah. And nobody's going to do anything. And that's sad. It's scary. It's sad.
Yes.
Um, I don't know if I would ever want to know why they're like that, but there's a part of me like, how can you just like harm somebody over and over that you claim you love? Is that how you
Hmm.
treat things you love? Why? How do you do that? You know?
Because it doesn't make sense.
It literally is like this, you know, why? It doesn't make sense. Like, why would you do that over and over? And
Because you wouldn't do that to your kid, and that's,
well, and
you
anything you
know what
love,
love is.
because it's interesting. I don't know if you've experienced, they'll take better care of like their cars, their houses,
Hmm.
all their toys. but not the people. And it's like, mm,
Because the people are part of the picture for the world, the outside world.
that's very true.
They're not really the abusers need, like they're the parasite. They need the host. They need to
I
have
feel
this
like
presentation of themselves.
for my children's stepmother, he without her, he's not going to survive what's happening right now. And I can tell you that.
Correct.
And I don't know. I mean, I again, after so long, and this is just my experience, because like I have a younger child, he's 10. His dad and I separate. We've been separated 6 years now. We have no court order. We co-parent effectively. Do we argue? Yes. I think I can count on my hand twice that he's called me a. I deserved it. I'll tell you that up front because I did. We had to do some changes. He wanted to do some changes. And us as moms, and we have our routines and everything.
Yes.
And
Respect the routine, people. Y'all don't understand.
he was getting older. This will be our second year where we're doing a week-to-week rotation during the summer. And I was a little selfish, and it took me a couple of days to call him and apologize. So I was like, he's like, well, during the summer, can we do a week to week? And I was like, no. I was like, no. Why would you even act? Like I went on this whole tangent, and he was like, you're being a and he hung up on me. And after a couple of days of like taking a step back, and I was like, okay, Natalie, like he isn't wrong. During the school year, I have him all week, and we were doing like every other weekend. He only wanted to add in another weekend and then do the week to week summer. And I was like, I'll do it. But during the school year, if like, we're doing a birthday party or something, because a lot of my family, like, and with my older two, it was on the bi-weekly thing. If it's planned on a weekend that would be technically yours, can I just keep him? And I don't mind like making that up later. And it
Mhm.
worked. But I was being a little selfish and like you get them in their routines and you become so accustomed to them being home that I've had to readjust to like, that, which is fair. Like that's fair. So I've had to, own that.
But
And
that's growth. Like that's
well,
maturity.
I know, but I mean, again, I can be a little rough around the edges. So, he called me a bitch, whatever. I dealt with it. But I deserved it because I was hot off the press and I was like, no, flew right into that. Like, absolutely not. You don't get to see,
Mm-hmm.
Um, but so far, and I mean, we have a court order that we both have notarized and everything. We've never had to file it, not had to use it. So I mean, you can co-parent. You don't have to
Mm-hmm.
involve. But I feel like the courts are more so for the abuse side. It's not for because that his father's never hit me. Again, called me a bit, called me names. There were a couple times I deserved it. So, but nothing extraordinarily like this, where
Yeah.
he's putting holes in the wall, where
Mm-hmm.
he's, hiding my keys from me so I can't leave, or smashing my
Mm-hmm.
phone so I can't make phone calls. Nothing like that. I
Yeah.
mean, we co-parent so well that like he changes my oil.
Yeah.
He makes sure my car is safe for his son because I have him majority of the time. And he's a mechanic.
Listen, that's
So
that's that's maturity.
we don't
That's
have a child support order because we work it
mm-hmm.
out.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
because we both learned he has two older kids, the financial drain from court and everything. And when we separated, it was like, well, let's see how we can do this. Because I was like, I personally just don't want to go to court. But if we have to, like, hey,
Yeah.
we'll go.
Right.
But we did draft our order and everything. We just never had to enforce it.
Yeah.
And he and I were together for 9 years. So
Wow.
he actually experienced what I went through with their dad, and he's like, I've had to, in instances, take our son to him and be like, I gotta go deal with him and go to police stations. Our son's never experienced that. Do you know our
Yeah.
son has never seen two people argue? If you
Wow.
raise your voice to him, he doesn't know how to take that because we never got to that point. So there have been a few occasions where I've had to have police and stuff come to my house, and I called him and I'm like, hey, we need to get him out of here. I don't want him to experience
Yeah.
this. That's insane in itself. Like I have. one set of children that experience this and the other. So I feel like I'm
Yeah.
not the problem. But again, the courts and stuff like that, they don't recognize it. Like I'm like, Linda,
We don't.
There's
Listen.
5,000 pages of evidence. I mean, I've got like 10 million text messages. I've got
Hmm.
videos
Hmm.
still here. Like, do
Yeah.
help me out with that. I
Hmm.
see it a lot. There's so many stories about it, you know, and yeah, mine's not quite over because we are still in the trenches.
Which is crazy because you have the 17-year-old. So that's why it's not over because she's 17?
No, because he, I became financially exhausted and my children were genuinely curious to go live with him. So they did. He's had them for 5 years. And well, yeah, it would be 5 years, 5 years this year. So our oldest four, because he's 19, he'll be 20. Um, and they've been expelled. They like the list goes on. Oh yeah. Um, and my daughter has a daughter. So what she's going through and everything, and I mean, you have to fight to a degree. I just want to see them happy and safe and healthy. She moved back in with me, but then he pulled the stunt because it happens with kids, not just us, where
Hmm.
it's good, it's bad, it's bad. The oh, I love you. Come home. I'm gonna buy you a car. Yeah. So we're back for that. And also, I mean, it just gets to a point like I'm still, as I said, in therapy. The courts have said that I've had to get along with him, and they keep repeating that to me. Um, and I'm just gonna keep filing the evidence and let it speak for itself at this point because that's how I feel. And I do. And it's out there. And I've been asked to stop filing the evidence, which is comical to me. His attorney said not to file it, asked me to stop. Isn't that fun? Isn't that interesting? And I'm like, which I understand. And I have a respect for attorneys. I know that they have a job to do. You know what I mean? They have a job, they have a livelihood. And if you come to them and you're paying them for a service. It's not always their ethics or values or morals. And I think a lot of people also need to understand that with attorneys.
Which sucks.
It does.
I don't think I could be an attorney and my client is abusing someone and I know that they're abusing someone and I'm
But they
supposed
hide
to.
it. They hide it from because
There are
this one,
some who don't though.
oh, that's fair.
There are some who flat out know exactly what,
That is
like I've had an interview with one woman and she's like his attorney, the abuser, was a woman and she's like she's a shark. She knows what's happening, but she is a shark and she's coming at
right.
me.
I had a friend years ago who enabled her son this way and hired this attorney. They call her like the bulldog.
Hmm.
He was addicted to drugs, alcohol, and got full custody. And she was $750 an hour.
Hmm. Because they know exactly how to manipulate the law. What I
That
don't get, uh, I guess it's not for us to get, but it is very unsettling and very irritating for you as the court to have all of this proof that this person has physically. We're not even talking about the financial, we're not talking about the emotional and the psychological. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the physical evidence of physical abuse and you're telling me
Yep.
just get along with, you have to get along with him. Like, sir, ma'am, if your daughter got punched in the face over and over again but had a child
I
with the
would
person who
love
punched
to
her,
be
are
their
you going to
kid.
tell them you just got to get along with him?
You hear and you see the ones that cry wolf, and there are those.
Yes.
Ones that like literally they have hospital reports, they have, a full on like slideshow. They have witness statements, and it's, well, you two need to get along.
Right.
I would love to pick apart that judge's brain as that was said, or like whatever mindset, where that came from. I almost want to be like, can you guys come live with me for a year so you can endure this and let me
Not even that. I just want to see, like, living with someone for a year shows you a lot about their mindset. And then you'd be
Oh,
like, oh, okay, I get why you think this is okay.
well, and with my younger kid, his dad, like, which I experience this now in the dating world, a lot of people, if you've never experienced it, you don't understand it until you're with that person. And he was like, I really didn't believe you at first because he actually lived out of state. He moved out of state for a few years to live his best
Hmm.
life. I thought I was in the clear.
Man.
Hey, he literally showed up on my doorstep, randomly showed up on my doorstep and was like, I want my kids. He hadn't seen our daughter since she was 3 months old. She was a toddler, had no idea who this man was. Yeah, and I thought I was in the clear, but he came back. But he was even like, I didn't realize the insanity level of it until we were like,
Hmm.
and he was like, I was just like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
I'm like, he doesn't have any hobbies. I'm not sure. Like, I don't know.
You are the hobby.
I know. And he should get a new one. I'm quite boring.
Once they've found somebody they can control and manipulate, even after it's
Oh,
over with, they don't stop. They're going to keep trying because it's a game to them. Like, they want to figure out how I can continue to what aspect of your life I can continue to control, and I'm going to continue to control that even if we're not together anymore. And
so
to
he
be with my kids.
pops back up, and that spiked something for a minute. But I will say this too. I found if I'm in a relationship with a man, it's not as intense. So we separated almost 6 years ago, and I've had a couple of relationships here and there.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't like seeing me independent without a man.
That's bananas.
I have found that because I've jokingly said to friends and stuff, I'm like, I could just hire a boyfriend tomorrow and it would ease this up, right? I kid you not. If I did, it would de-escalate it so quickly. But I feel like because they're so miserable maybe within themselves, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. It is a little crazy that I'm his hobby. Like, okay, yay. Um, I also find it kind of insane too. We have a daughter, we have a son.
Mm-hmm.
Um, our son said to me he would contradict himself and be like, you can't hit women, but he's like, then he, you know, hit his wife.
Natalie, when I tell you I would get sick to my stomach because when his kids would come over, his aunt would talk about how the son had like the son and the daughter were wrestling or whatever, and the son did something, and he so-called disciplining the son for hitting his sister. And I'm like, what are we doing here?
The stories my son has, like I said, break my heart. But he said that and he was like, he is getting older and he's, doing great. I love
Mm-hmm.
that for him, but he's like, so contradictory. Like I can't hit girls, but what are you? He's like, it was an aha moment. Like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, like, and we have a daughter. So like, I would love to be inside of his brain for like a point split second to understand his mentality. You're doing this to women. You have a daughter. So
They don't
you have
have,
a
they
daughter.
don't, it doesn't make any kind of sense.
Oh,
They don't have, they're missing something because
maybe a protein? I don't know.
his daughter, like, he got mad when somebody was abusing his sister. He
Uh-huh.
got really pissed off when his stepbrother gave his daughter a piggyback ride.
But
But you can strangle me, you can throw
it's
me on the floor.
fun. Like, I don't know. They need to be caged and studied.
Definitely study.
Okay, maybe not caged. I'm a little rough, you know.
I mean, no, and I think I said that because he talked about when he was in prison before we met, he would always talk about how it was peaceful and how his relationship with God was so this, that, and the other thing. And I'm
Well,
like, that's because you didn't have the opportunity to be yourself. You were literally caged up and you had to behave and you convinced yourself that you were a better person. But all of the whole court order, anger management, like all that crap is crap. It doesn't matter if we go to court and you don't go to jail and they're like, well, I want y'all to co-parent, but I'm also going to make you go do anger management. It's a joke. I
so
show up, I pretend, I get a certificate, and here we are
I
back to where we were.
I feel like I don't know. There needs to be changes in the family courts. Somehow, some way, like you should have to be in counseling and like have an evaluator and before you can get a court order. But that takes so much like and I get the courts because they're short. You're talking about you have to present something in like 3 months that has been happening for 5 years. You have to condense it
Mhm.
all into this like fabulous, you know, blip.
The other part of foolishness.
Yes. But I feel like, come live with me. Like, come on, Judge. Like, come on down. Like, actually, Judge, why don't you move in with him for 6 solid months because it's going to take 3 for him to break down because eventually that's going to fade. Like, he can only do it for 10,
Hmm.
but at 6, it's going to start unraveling and give it a year and baby. Yeah.
Because they can't handle it. It's the 24/7. It's easy to put on the front
Oh, it
when we're
is.
dating and when we're
It is.
separated. You
Oh,
go your way, I go mine.
and for the what, maybe 3 or 4 months you're in court.
Hmm.
Oh, well, they're an outstanding community person.
Hmm.
I've never seen like teachers, I've never seen them behave this way.
Hmm.
Couldn't. But what's wilder to me with like you talk about, you get into educational systems, and things like that, and even, sports. These are educators. These are people who take classes to recognize abuse.
Hmm.
What are you doing?
Right.
You're not recognizing it, and it's actually I've seen it a million times blatantly in your face by children's behavior. What are you doing? You're not doing those kids any favor by not speaking up. It's, I
You're
don't know.
not.
I feel like it's just I don't know systematically. I don't know if
Hmm.
it's because of other people's experiences or the guilt and shame, like we talked about earlier, where like, oh, that happened. I can't because it happened to me kind of thing. But like
Yeah.
at some point, you know, I don't know. I feel like it needs to get better.
It does need to get better. They need more training. They need more like this needs
More
to be.
training, or do they need more of a safe place to actually, you know what I mean? Because you can only go to the police so many times or DCFS, and then there's the really bad
But
cases where kids,
if
there's nowhere to place the kids, so we're back to square one.
I think that there needs to be, I agree with you with the whole, there needs to be a site. Like if somebody's coming to claim domestic violence
Yeah,
and they're presenting evidence.
I
We're
know.
not talking about the people who cry wolf. We're not talking about the what if situations. We're talking
Concrete.
about people who legit have, in your case, their doctor visits, they're this, they're that, they're pictures, they're witnesses. And I get all the witnesses don't want to come forward. You don't want to be involved that you don't want to be that involved. I get that.
Yeah.
But if we have evidence of abuse happening in the courtroom, there should at the very least be a psychologist sitting there watching the behaviors of or behavioral analysis
You
who's
can
watching the
if you
behaviors
read
of people.
this, I mean, it's not even a that's what is wild to me. You read the cases.
Hmm.
To you, if I gave you mine and a friend of mine's, you would you would be mind blown at like how did it get this far?
Hmm.
And it's really sad to me. Like, I don't know, how do we fix that? Like, that's the big question for me. Like, how do you fix it? How do you provide a safe haven for victims?
Hmm.
Um, and I also, it's kind of, I'm going to call it a radical thinking. A lot of people want to see, their domestic violence abusers in jail.
Mm-hmm.
They need to be institutionalized.
Mm-hmm.
Putting them in jail, I feel like it just creates a cycle again. They come out and they're 9 times out of 10 when they come out, they're worse.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we not getting them mental help? And then if they can't come out of that, then jail. Okay, And there are some instances, rates, that part.
Mm-hmm.
That part I can't wrap my head around at all of how, I don't know. It's a whole different level of abuse.
Yeah.
But,
I think the problem that what they're going to raise is, well, who's going to pay for this new facility
but you know what?
to be?
We're already paying for it as taxpayers. We're paying for the prisons. We're paying for this. So why
But we
not?
need a separate institution for abusers
Oh no, we don't. We just need to block off a hall.
because
They got
who's
we
I believe I just think that it's so tricky, but it has to start with some level of training because if we're looking at police officers, they started with some level of training if they're in different fields. If you're in the attack unit, if you're in the like, there's no domestic violence unit of police, and there
no.
should be.
No, and I've had officers say to me, like, we see this all the time, but this is a civil matter. And I'm like, what?
Right. Because you can murder me as my
Right.
spouse and you're only going to get 7 years. But if you murder a stranger that you don't sleep with,
And it's criminal, so they want to act on it. It's wild to me. Like, they're like, well, this is a civil matter. And I'm
nothing about this is civil.
like, wait, what do I have to do to make it criminal? Like, steal
Mm-hmm.
his truck real
Mm-hmm.
quick? Like, I'll go do it. We can make it criminal. It's so weird to me. And like, even if I don't know if you've experienced this, I have, where you have a clear-cut court order.
Mm-hmm.
Will literally be like, well, we're not going to do that. And I'm like, that's an order. Well, that's a civil matter. It's a court order, sir. You don't get to pick apart that because you're an officer and then tell me it's a civil matter. Take it to court. It's, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. It's not taking it's not taken as serious as it is
No,
until
no.
the person is dead.
I say that all the time. It's going to take somebody dying or being severely injured before anyone takes it. I say it all the time.
For instance, we have the new law that was passed in Tennessee, I believe, because a member of their sheriff's department, I believe, was murdered in a domestic violence thing. So now there's a law after her name that is saying that you can have a like you have a sexual, what is it? A sexual predator, whatever
Oh,
the
yeah.
rapist
Yeah, rapists, you can have
thing,
predators. They
you
have
have that now for domestic violence. You can be put on a list, and be notified. But of
I've
course,
seen a
there
little
are
bit about that.
a lot of layers to get put on that. Like there's a lot of layers to get put on that list, first of all. But at the end of the day, it took one of their people being killed in this situation for them to be like, hey, yo, we need to pass a law about this. And it's
Isn't
right
that,
now, I think it's only in Tennessee.
I think I
But
heard. So we may have to,
wrap it up.
wrap it up and maybe do like a two if this goes well. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I have a whole story. Like it's not that little blip is not compared to like anything that's I've experienced in my childhood. So I mean, we may have to come back for a round two sometime.
Girl, I'm here whenever you are ready. You understand?
Yeah,
Trust. You take care of what you got to take care of, and when you able to take the small step for men,
absolutely. I'll be back on your
and
podcast
the
with
giant leap for
more
mankind,
more of my life lore.
the life story.
Well, maybe it'll inspire somebody and like, or like at least let them know like they're not alone.
No, what I love about this conversation is the conversation because it's bringing awareness to so many things that are overlooked, the flags, the signs, the things that you wouldn't expect to hear. Like there's no reason for you to be told after you have proof of physical abuse to get along with the person who abused you. People don't hear that. People don't think that that's real.
Well, I'm here because like I think it's important. And like I was inspired by you, like you came up on my algorithm. Here we are. And I was like, people are talking more and more about it. And so, why not share mine? Because there's somebody that is either going to get out of their situation because of just that, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe they're going to hear from my experiences and go a different avenue and like
Yeah.
actually come out with a positive outcome,
Yeah.
you know,
I'm here for it.
talk more.
I'm here for it. So I
Yeah.
just want to say thank you for again taking the time to come
Thank
on the Can't Be
you.
Broken podcast. Um, and just sharing your sharing your experience, sharing what you've learned, sharing things that people don't know. Hey, now somebody's going to be out here like, wait, so I need to go look up how long does the father need to be out of life before I can go remove them from the birth. Like it's little stuff in here. And
Yeah.
what I always say is everybody's for somebody, but everybody's not for everybody. But your voice is like whoever's supposed to find this is going to find it. Whoever is supposed to hear this the way it was unpacked is going to hear it and receive it the way it was unpacked to change what needs to change in their life. And so I just want to say thank you
Yeah.
for being willing to take that step and be like, hey, let's talk, because the
This is
more
not,
conversations are had,
yes.
the less people can get away with stuff.
And yeah, but I loved it. I'm hungry.
I don't blame you.
And
Y'all, Natalie, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
you're
Thank
very
you. I'm going to
welcome.
let you go. This has been another amazing episode of the Can Be Broken podcast with our beautiful sister, Miss Natalie in the building. I just want to say, keep showing up, sis. Keep sharing your love. Keep shining your light. In the meantime, in between time, until next week, we are gone. Pew, 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 pew.
Yeah. Bye.